The Attorney General calls Congress ugly and divisive after a testy exchange with a senior member of the House Judiciary Committee. Armstrong Williams' take on this recent intersection, once again, of race and politics.
Also, in the wake of the latest shooting at Fort Hood Military Base, could potential employers be more concerned about post-traumatic stress and vets returning from battle? And could that make finding a job that much more difficult for those who have put their lives on the line for our country? Documentary film producer Tim Malloy joins us to talk about that. Still ahead.
And a 20-year-old dispute between a Nevada rancher and federal rangers over illegal cattle grazing descends into an armed standoff. Newsmax TV correspondent Miranda Khan will join us for an exclusive report later in our program as America's Forum continues. Well, it may be hour 2 of America's Forum, but there are 3 of us here on the set. I'm J.D. Hayworth.
And I'm John Bachman. Joining us right now on the desk is Miranda Khan, Newsmax correspondent. Miranda, it's great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's continue talking about that intersection of race and politics. Attorney General Eric Holder says the clash between he and Representative Louis Gohmert, well, it's evidence of the civil rights challenges he and the president face.
What attorney general has ever had to deal with that kind of treatment?
Holder made those comments before the Reverend Al Sharpton's National Action Network at its annual convention, where the president is going to speak today. Sparks flew between he and Gohmert during a House Judiciary Committee oversight hearing this week after Gohmert brought up the House holding Holder in contempt. Well, joining us right now to discuss this is Armstrong Williams, host and author of the book Reawakening Virtues.
Armstrong, it is great to have you joining us by telephone today on America's Forum. We really appreciate it. And let's just go to the question. We're getting a lot of different opinions. In your mind, Armstrong, is Eric Holder playing the race card?
You know, the war of words, and thank you for having me, the war of words between the Attorney General and Louis Gohmert, who is a Tea Party lawmaker from Texas. It escalated earlier in the week, and Holder did not like the fact that he was being questioned over the reluctance of handing over the documents that were related to the prosecution of this Holy Land Foundation. You know, just because Eric Holder is asked to do something by someone who chairs a committee, and no matter what the issue is, it's not always about race. I think that people have become a little too sensitized about this issue, because if this were anybody else's attorney general who happened to be white, this would be no issue. And obviously they play into it, and obviously he's speaking to the National Action Committee, and this kind of statement is red meat to the audience. It's what they want to hear, and what I think he's doing is being politically incorrect, I won't say correct, to his audience, and obviously to the larger audience outside of that National Action Network attendees. It doesn't play well across the country, because what it does, it divides, and it gets away from the real issues that Gohmert is trying to hold him in contempt for.
Now, again, we see this come about, and there is one school of thought, and Armstrong, having been there, done that, there are situations where you have a standoff, and you look back on it and you say, this guy may have gotten the better of me. And when I see Eric Holder go into the the Al Sharpton meeting, I believe the National Alliance Network,
National Action Network.
National Action Network. When I see that, and I see him leave the script to go back and revisit the Gohmert situation, it seems to me that the Attorney General is opening up a new level of discussion, so that people will not stay focused on the fact that he was a little bit flippant with a senior member of the House Judiciary Committee, referring to him as buddy, and bringing back up the whole Fast and Furious thing. Do you think perhaps that's a part of the rationale behind what the Attorney General did unscripted yesterday with Al Sharpton's group?
Yes, of course. You know, it's kind of crazy too, because they're trying to say that Holder was bullied by some guy who's a racist, Louis Gohmert. They're spinning the story Holder's allowing this story to go on, and he shows up, and you got the Reverend Sharpton and this National Action Network, which because of it exists because of the very same things that we fight against and the things that we condemn. And then you have Reverend Al Sharpton trying to deflect issues away from the fact that he was an FBI informant, and all these things are playing. And so they're trying to take the focus off Sharpton. They're trying to take the focus on real issues. And what they do is red meat to their audience, because people want to believe, certain people in this country want to believe that all their issues, all their circumstances, all the things that happen to people of color has to do with racism. It has to do with people who are racist, and not realizing that it doesn't matter who's in the White House. We have President Obama in the White House now, and they still fight some of the same issues they fought 40 or 50 years ago. In fact, their issues have deteriorated and gotten worse under this president.
Mr. Williams, we have a question for you. So Karl Rove says that Holder should step down from his job if he really believes his, quote, whining and self-pity. Your take?
Obviously, that is the president's decision as he accepted Sebelius's resignation today. Look, a lot of people on both political sides of the aisle say some outrageous and pander to different groups. We see that back and forth. But obviously, the Attorney General's resignation should not rise and fall based on some quote that Karl Rove, that you just mentioned by Karl Rove. There are very important issues. I think there's issues with Fast and Furious. There are issues with what happened with the Boston Marathon, whether that could have been prevented or not, whether the FBI fell down on the case, which goes squarely back to the Attorney General Eric Holder. I think these issues still need to be addressed in a very reasonable and substantive way instead of stop trying to deflect them with these issues of race.
And Armstrong, how do you think would be a substantive way to deal with this issue moving forward? Because clearly there is some tension between Gomer and Holder. Gomer's on the Judiciary Committee. He has an oversight responsibility dealing with the Department of Justice and Attorney General Eric Holder. Do you think they need to, in a public forum, hash it out and make it look like everything's okay?
Well, look, the bottom line is Eric Holder only reflects his boss, the President of the United States. Obviously, they don't want these hearings, just like they did not want the hearings on Benghazi. They want it to go away because obviously there's something that that they don't want the impact what's going to the midterm elections in November. Obviously, if you look at what they told us about affordable care, we won't lose our physicians, premiums will not soar. Obviously, they don't want to be reminded that the president told the American people something that was just totally untrue. And what they want to deflect and blame everybody else. But what the president sometimes has to do is take personal responsibilities for these issues that his lieutenants keep trying to deflect and use racism and some other idiotic situations to deflect from the real issues that Americans want real answers to.
Armstrong, we've heard so much, and certainly early on in his administration, President Obama, a lot of people spoke about a post-racial society. Seeing this kind of injection of race and these kinds of disagreements go on, in some ways, has our alleged first post-racial president become America's most racial president?
Of course, I'm not going to say that. Look, obviously, when you read these websites and these bloggers, and when they try to say the president, the reason why the economy is sluggish and the reason why our foreign policies are failing has to do something with the race. You know, guys like us, we could care less about the president's race. We care about the president's policy. We care about whether his policies are effective and whether they move Americans forward. Affordable care has been a disaster, not because we have the first American black president. It's because we have the president with the wrong policies, the wrong ideas, and don't understand who we are as Americans. This has nothing to do with race. People criticized George Bush later about going into Iraq, not because he was some Caucasian president. They just realized years later that it was the wrong policy, and we're still paying a price for it. While these politicians and the media engage in these race tactics and engage in race and try to make us seem as though that we're racist because we criticize them, no, we criticize them because we care about this country, we care about our children, and we care about our future.
But but I have to interject here, but you don't think race has ever played a factor?
Of course racism
For the president or the attorney general?
Of course. But we don't have to play into the president's and the attorney general game. We keep dealing with what the real issues are. The president and those, when they interject race and these other side issues, they're irrelevant because they don't want the American people to get the bottom line to the truth that his policies are ineffective and they're not working.
Armstrong, about a minute left, and we know that you're busy in terms of broadcast station ownership, but you've taken time to write a new book. Tell us about your latest book.
Well, that was Reawakening Virtues 2 years ago. I'm writing a new book, the playbook, how to survive and overcome these perceptions about you're not good enough, how to be a success story by making better choices, because what you realize in life is that the best and the worst that happens to you has to do ultimately the good and bad choices that you bring about in your life. And so it's about personal responsibility and accountability, and people must become accountable and responsible for themselves.
We appreciate that, Armstrong, your time and your thoughts today, and we look forward to having you back on America's Forum. Now, your take on the stories of the day we welcome. You can reach out to us via Twitter at Newsmax TV, #America's Forum.